It's Dr. Glenn from glennsentme.com. I'd like to talk to you about 6 reasons that people fail in internet business, which I don't think many people are focusing on or pointing out, and I think it's important for you to know, especially if you're following my work. The first one is what I call a lack of dimension. And here's what I mean. It's one thing to use my special research techniques and identify point of difference benefits, the things that really make you stand out in the market and find out exactly what people want and know that. That's one thing, but it's a whole other deal to prove to people that you're the one with the solution. And most people say, well, you just use a lot of testimonials, and that's certainly helpful, but that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about dimensionalizing your claims. And here's some examples. So let's say that I'm selling a radon testing kit, like a $150 kit to figure out what level of radon you might have in your house. And it would be one thing to talk about radon being an invisible gas which causes lung cancer. What you can see can kill you. That's very basic, and this is where I see people falling down. They do the research, and then they come back, and when they present the benefit back to the consumer, they're very basic in the way that they're presenting it. And what I want you to do is be dimensionalized, and here's the example in radon. Radon is an invisible killer responsible for at least 15,000 cancer deaths annually. Infants might be at significantly greater risk since their developing lungs are more prone to damage. Even at 4 picocuries per liter, the threshold level at which mitigation is generally first recommended, lung cancer incidence is more than 14 times the norm in the population. So can you see the difference in the power of just digging a little further to find the facts and presenting them to people? Obviously, the person who presents this second paragraph has the facts at their disposal, and the level of problem agitation is much greater. Someone reading this is much more likely to take action than someone reading the above benefits. So that's one example of dimensionalizing. And another example might be if you were trying to promote a book about the meaning of the vampire myth in our culture. It's one thing to say that the vampire myth has been with us since the beginning of recorded history. It's another to say that history's first recorded vampire was most likely Ekamu from ancient Sumeria. The Sumerians believed an Ekamu was created when someone died a violent death, was unlucky in love, or not properly buried. Although it was not known to consume blood, the Ekamu was often described as looking like a rotting corpse that stalked its human prey and took its life force from it. How much more engaging and rich and motivating is that type of dimensionalized presentation of a benefit? So the reason I'm really driving this home is that my audience tends to be very left-brained and gets very enthralled with the left-brained analytic aspects of what I do. But you could ruin it. You could ruin it if you don't take it that extra step. And once you found out, and this is the difference between the skeleton and the flesh on the bones. The analytic side is the skeleton. How do you put together the market opportunities and really know that you're going after the right areas? But the dimensionalization is the research that you do to present the benefits in a much richer and more motivating format. I hope that makes sense. So that's the first reason, is the lack of dimensionalization. Oh, and by the way, the other way that this comes into play is that people will swipe. They'll swipe for form rather than substance. And because this type of dimensionalization really has to hang together, not only in a sales letter, but across all the content that you provide. Just swiping a paragraph here or there is not going to do it. So it's why it's so important that you really have a depthful understanding of your market, so this comes through across everything that you do. Okay. The second reason that I see people failing is a real lack of competitive intelligence. And what I mean by that is you have to know who's winning the game in your market and have the resources and determination to offer something at least as valuable. And I can't tell you how many people I've talked to who want to go into the weight loss market with a $50 ebook, or haven't taken the time to really analyze what's being offered and how extensive the marketing is on the back end, and if there are some people selling ebooks on the front end, well, are they selling a $5,000 coaching program or a $25,000 a month hospital treatment program? You can't fight that with a $50 ebook. You really have to have a much more extensive a much more extensive monetization plan in place, no matter how good you are at AdWords, no matter how good you are at doing your research, no matter how much better you understand the market than anybody else. If you only have the ability to make $48 in margin off of a sale and that's it, you're not going to beat someone who's doing really, really bad marketing but selling a $25,000 hospital treatment program. So I think the way Dan Kennedy puts that is good marketing doesn't fix bad math, and that's really, really important. Same thing about customer service. If you or sales channels, if your competitors in the market are offering 800 numbers where people can call in and live chat, or this should actually say more the sales channel than customer service, but it's true for customer service too, that it's going to be hard to beat that with a purely electronic system. And as the internet gets more and more competitive, I know people don't want to hear this, but as it gets more and more competitive, it becomes crucially important to see what level of human service your competitors are offering, because searchers will gravitate in many markets towards human service. I mean, not if you're selling something that people don't want to talk to anybody about, but like a spyware or privacy software or something like that. But in many, many markets, people are looking for that human contact, and you need to do an assessment to see how hard it's going to be for you to fight that